Before we completely leave Jedha behind, we have to tackle one more moment. One that's cold, precise, and terrifying in a very different way. We're going from sand, sunlight, and warm color palettes straight into the sleek, metallic heart of the Empire, the Death Star. I've always loved the scene where Orsen Krennic proudly unveils the Death Star's capabilities to Tarkin and the other high-ranking Imperial officers. It's deeply sinister. I have two goals for this MOC. Goal number one is to finally use this spherical planet piece from the old LEGO planet sets to represent Jedha through the giant Death Star observation window. Goal number two is to incorporate some of the greebled panels I built for my Cloud City MOC to help sell the hyper-detailed technical interior of this massive weapon. Here is a rough sketch of the MOC. The color palette will be light bluish gray, dark bluish gray, and black. That's enough talking for now. Let's go to bricks and minifigs. Before building, I had a hunch there were a few minifigures I could use not just for this scene, but for future MOCs in this series as well. So I headed to Bricks and Minifigures to see what I could find. I also considered selling some of my old clone minifigures to help fund the rest of the series. I never used these older Clone Wars style designs in my MOCs. I pulled out the clones I planned on keeping, but as for the rest, well, let's see if I can get anything for them. Well, I didn't find any minifigures I needed, and I didn't get a great offer for the clones. Turns out a lot of their torsos and arms had cracks, so I wouldn't really get much money for them anyway, and I didn't really feel like it was worth it. Like, I might as well just keep them if I'm not going to get any money for them. I probably should have checked before I brought them in. The whole trip ended up being a little anticlimactic, but honestly, at least I got out of the house. Like most builds in this series, the foundation begins with large plates connected with a healthy amount of filler brick. But unlike the Jedha builds, I'm not using that layered weathering technique here. This is an interior. It should look clean, polished, and intentionally sterile, the opposite of the sandy, worn environments we've been working with. The first major element is the large angled window in the back. I built a rough prototype to figure out the correct height, the right angle, and how close I could get to the shape seen in the film. To achieve the angle, I used a combination of bricks with studs on the side, brackets, and grilled slopes. This combo lets you get a surprisingly smooth, subtle angle that feels very Empire architect vibes. Now to build the top half of the window. Same technique, just mirrored. And of course, surprise surprise, I needed more filler brick. Once that was in place, I plated everything off so I could begin to build upward. The window is really starting to take shape. I built up the sides using brackets so I could attach dark bluish gray tiles. These tiles help frame the window and cover the exposed grille slopes, making the whole structure feel much more polished. The tiles on the bottom sit in place with friction. To attach the top angled section, I used the little studs with bars and rounded plates with holes. A very snug fit and very satisfying. The top tiles technically stay in with friction too, but the pressure on the angled sides was a bit too much, so I reinforced them later. The last thing you want is your window exploding outward. Let's shift to the right side of the MOC where we'll add a small doorway and those classic Imperial wall lights. Now comes the fun part, incorporating that planet piece into the window. I loved how that new Death Star set built its space backdrop, so I borrowed that technique. I used black archway pieces to leave space for the dome and added white bars and black headlight bricks to represent the stars outside. It feels just cartoony enough to suit LEGO, but still reads as space, and I love it. Next, I added the Star Wars style lights above the doorway and installed the greebled panels on the ends. Small but important elements that immediately sell the Death Star's technical complexity. I tiled the roof, added some supports, and adjusted small areas until everything locked in. From here, things really started to come together. The window looked fantastic, the framing was strong, The lighting details were popping, and the greebles added depth. I even added a couple tiny security cameras to keep all the Imperials in check. One of the last things I tackled was tiling the floor and adding jumper plates to position the figures. I wanted Krennic and Tarkin to sit on a raised platform so they could stand out more in photos. This is a great example of building for photography, making small structural choices and adjustments that just help tell the story better in the final pictures. I also made some slight adjustments to the end caps, the roofing, the lighting, and the walls, which maybe wouldn't categorize as slight adjustments. Now that I'm thinking about it, those are pretty big adjustments. They genuinely elevated the final build, though. All of the minifigures in this mock are official LEGO prints except for Tarkin and Krennic, both of which are from Orbital minifigures. The head on the Death Star Trooper is also custom printed from Orbital minifigures. All of the other Imperial officers in the probe droid are made from official LEGO parts. And honestly, they all look great gathered together like this. It instantly feels like an Imperial Council that's about to make a very bad, evil decision. Now that the minifigures are placed, here it is, the finished Death Star mock.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I really love this build. It's another example of a smaller scene in Star Wars, one that often gets overshadowed by Scarif or Jedha or the big action moments. But building these quieter, more atmospheric settings is incredibly fun, and it brings attention to parts of the movie that normally just don't get represented in LEGO. I was nervous this mock might end up looking too simple or too boring, but seeing it fully constructed, I think it has a lot of charm. The window is the real star of the show. The shape, the angles, and the thin, dark gray line bordering it is so satisfying to look at. The white bars against the black headlight bricks also create a perfect star field, and I added a small planet sticker on a rounded tile to represent a nearby moon. Not accurate to the movie, technically, but it is fun. This again is LEGO after all. It's supposed to be fun, and I can do what I want. Overall, I'm really happy with it. I don't think there's anything major I would change, especially since I went back and added a lot of smaller improvements along the way. Next episode, we're leaving this cold gray build style behind and moving on to, more gray and dark bluish gray architecture. Okay, cool. Stay creative, everybody, and I'll see you soon.